And we are live. Hello everyone, welcome to part 12 of Sonadow Play Ace Attorney, the Apollo Justice Trilogy. Joining me as per usual is my lovely girlfriend, IMShadow 007. Say hello, hon. Hello? Okay, I think we're having some technical problems, folks. Great start. Oh, my Discord is muted. That's why. Say hello, hon.
Hello.
And as we were discussing last time, this is one of the more defining cases of Ace Attorney. Takes place after the third game, but before this one.
Yes, so we'll finally reveal what happened 7 years ago.
Yep. Turnabout Succession.
7 years ago. Showdown time. I lost. It's only a game of poker. A game I played for a long time. And I only lost twice. Who was the first? The man I killed. Of course. Oh. Well, it seems I found the partner I've been looking for all along. Over a game of cards? Why, yes. Over a game of cards.
That was how we first met. 7 years ago.
"7 years earlier. Phoenix writes his final trial.
Phew. Okay, it's been a long time since I felt like such a rookie. Gotta try and relax. Ah, good morning, Mr. Enigma. I'm sorry to have sprung this on you so suddenly. I received the files from your previous attorney only yesterday. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure I'm prepared.
Honey.
What?
Music on. Turn the music on.
Oops. And there's also a delay on the Discord, so hang on, I'm going to call you back.
Alright. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah?
Okay. Should I hang up too?
Yeah. Let's restart the call. There seems to be a delay for some reason. Hello?
There we go.
Alright.
Okay. Screen share, please. Okay, go ahead.
Honestly, I'm not entirely sure I'm prepared. I understand. I'm asking the impossible of you. Yes, well, you haven't really told me what happened yet. All we did was play cards. And that was enough. Actually, it wasn't. Trust me. Aw.
Aw, cute! Oh, morning, Daddy!
I'm so glad you came.
You okay, Daddy? They picking on you?
I'm fine as always. This old boy is here to help me after all. That's young man to you. Good morning. That's a cute
Good
outfit you
morning.
have.
Oh.
That's a cute outfit you have on.
That's you.
Thanks! My first show's today, after all.
Oh, I'm sure it is. What the heck is she talking about?
Oh, old boy!
Huh? Me? Look what he started.
Here.
It seems fate's close. What's this?
I don't know. I just got over there in the hall. They told me to give it to the old boy in the blue suit with the spiky hair. They said it was really important.
What's this? A memo for you or some such? Not from the looks of it. What is this? Looks like a page from someone's diary. I'll give it a read later.
Thank
Well.
you.
Well, how do you feel about the trial today? We'll get through it, somehow. Incidentally, the prosecutor today is a new guy, I hear. An easy win then, yes? They're calling him a true thoroughbred in the history of the prosecutor's office. Of course, there's one of those every year. The switching of attorneys just before the trial. I know it's a difficult situation I put you in. But allow me to say one thing, Mr. Wright. Yes? They will not be able to pronounce me guilty today. So do your best, but do not worry. First time a defendant's ever given me a pep speech. I'll do what I can. I see you do not understand. You see, it will be impossible for them to declare a verdict. Impossible? Yes. Isn't that right, Trucy?
Yep, you bet, Daddy.
My first look at the case was only yesterday. And the information I was given was a tad lacking, to be honest. Still, I'll do what I can for their sake. I believe the curtains will be lifting any time now. I am in your capable hands, Mr. Wright. My client is Shadi Enigmar, known to the world as Zach Gramarye, a wildly popular magician, star of Troop Gramarye. His mentor, Magnifi Gramarye, was a rare breed of magician. He single-handedly ushered a golden age of stage magic until he was shot dead. And Zach Gramarye is the suspect.
The plot thickens.
Yep. Court is now in session for the trial of Shadi Enigmar. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Is the prosecution ready?
Hello.
I was just thinking, is this what all the fuss is about? Bit of a buzzkill, really. Buzzkill? Is this some new kind of crime? One of the worst. This is a trial, yeah? Where are the sweaty palms, the pounding hearts? A Gavin Ayres concert got 10 times the thrill this gig's got. Who were you again? Clavier Gavin. I came to get the party started. Legally, yeah? Gavin? Defense attorney Christoph Gavins? Figures my bro is more famous than this part of town. Clavier Gavin, lead singer from the mega hit band The Gaviners. You're out of your league, rock boy. I know what you're thinking. You're out of your league, rock boy. True, my debut single 13... sorry, this delay is starting to get on my nerves. Do you want to try that thing we did on the phone Discord where you just minimize it from time to time?
Yeah.
Right, sorry,
I think the reason why also is because my computer needs to restart due to the system updates, but I'm like, I'll worry about that later. So
that's probably what's causing it. Anyway, we'll be back in a second, folks. Alright, folks, sorry about that.
sorry about that.
Anyway, true, my debut single, 13 Years Hard Time for Love, went platinum overnight. But that's just a hobby to me compared to this, yeah? Talkative, aren't you? I like your affected Euro-rock accent, by the way, even though I refuse to give him one. Because talking like this, yeah, would get very annoying, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, there's a reason why Yuri Lowenthal was the voice of Clavier.
Yeah. I'm just getting warmed up, Hair Attorney, right? Perhaps you would be so kind as to fill us in on the case? Achtung, baby! Time to call in the opening act. What was his name again? Ah, yes, Detective Gumshoe. Hit it!
Yay! Gumshoe!
Finally. And you are? Hey, you were the one who called me up here, sir. Name's Dick Gumshoe. I'm a homicide detective down at the precinct. Detective Gumshoe. Long time no see. Hey, you! Huh? Me? Today's the day, pal. Today, I win and you lose. I got confidence in my testimony today, see?
Man, the sprites look so different.
I know, just seeing them in this high resolution.
Yeah, they look so unpolished.
Yeah, well, remember, these were originally Game Boy Advance games.
I know, but like, in the HD trilogy, they had like thicker outlines.
I guess it's just to go with the art style of this trilogy.
I guess so.
You normally lack in... What? You normally lack confidence in your testimony? Hair Detective, this is my stage. Cad and the Antics. Huh? All this hey-youing and such, and I could care less about your history together. Sorry, I'm just gonna correct this. And I couldn't care less about your history together.
Thank you!
Very well, Detective Gumshoe, if you would. Please tell us about the case at hand. It happened 6 days back in a room at the General Hospital. The facts are as simple as they come. Here's the crime scene. The victim was a patient, asleep in a hospital bed. The killer comes in, puts a pistol in his forehead, and bam! Lights out. That looks awful clean for a pistol right at the forehead.
Yeah.
Them's the facts. Not so long ago, the victim, Magnifi Grammary, was a famous man. Had the entire country under his magical spell, as it were. Ah yes, the great magician. He retired years ago, though. Say the name Magnifi to one of my generation, and you'd be lucky to get a blank stare. Yes, though I'm sure the youngsters today know his disciples even better. I dare say Troop Grammary has made quite a name for themselves. Anyhow, the retired McNiffy's been in the hospital for the last year. What was it? Malignant tumor or something?
Malignant.
Doing something to his liver, I think, yeah. I just noticed Gumshoe kind of looks cross-eyed in this version.
He does!
A malignant tumor, perhaps? In other words, he had liver cancer.
Ooh.
He only had 3 months to live, in fact.
Thank you.
The facts do seem simple enough, but something's not right. The victim was already climbing a 3-month stairway to heaven. Ha! Why not wait for him to knock, knock, knock on heaven's door? Why shoot him? I wouldn't have put it quite so lyrically, but it's true. Why make the effort to commit murder when the victim was about to die? Incidentally, the victim had a serious case of diabetes.
Ooh.
Diabetes? In fact, he was about to shoot up with insulin. When he was shot with a pistol, the syringe was found at the crime scene. It must be type 1 diabetes he had.
Yeah.
Chronic diabetes and cancer. As much as it pains me to say it, the victim was clearly at the end of his life.
Ugh.
I believe the question before us is clear then. Why did the killer have to shoot this dying man? What reason could he have had? Very well, detective. Perhaps you can enlighten us to the circumstances of the shooting? Yes, sir. Gumshoe's eyes look weird in this version.
I know. Here we go.
It's almost like he's blind. The way his irises are white.
Yeah, it does.
His pupils, rather.
Yeah.
Actually, the victim kind of ordered the defendant to do him in. A few days before it happened, the victim sent a letter ordering his own murder. The defendant did what was asked of him and shot the old man in the forehead. The bullet was fired from the pistol found at the scene, no doubt about it. And the pistol definitely belonged to the old man, sir. What? You're saying the victim ordered his own shooting? Those are the facts. I have here the letter in question. To my beloved students, I trust you to come in the 13th. Hey, I was reading that.
Hey!
Whatever. Thank you. Very unusual indeed. Although, could such a thing as a letter really cause one to pull a trigger, I wonder? I believe the answer... Yeah, I know, right? I believe the answer to that question can be found at the end of the letter. Ah, you cannot refuse, and we both know the reason why. Detective Gumshoe, can you explain this to the court? Unfortunately, even the defendant won't say a peep about that bit, sir. One thing bothers me about this. Why didn't he just say 11? Why have him come at 11:05 with some specific reason, without some specific reason? The devil is in the details, Herr Attorney. Well, was there some reason? As it turns out, there was. Every night for half an hour, starting at 11, the victim, Magnifique Grammary, was given an IV. An IV? There it is in the picture, off to the side of the bed. At 11 a.m., a doctor would come in... At 11 a.m., at 11, a doctor would come to set up the IV. 30 minutes later, he would come back for the empty bag. This happened every night without fail. So that was the only time they could meet without the chance of an untimely interruption. During his IV. Very well. Shall we begin? Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you would. What's this reason he couldn't refuse, I wonder? He could have at least mentioned it to me.
Press on the third statement.
Oh, Sam Riegel.
Yeah, Sam Riegel.
How can you be so sure? Hey, you gotta learn to stop relying on people to do your thinking on you, pal. Learn to think for yourself. Get that noggin cracking. You fail to grasp the concept of questioning, detective. First, we got this letter. It says, shoot in the forehead, loud and clear. I can see that, but I still wouldn't do it. Well, maybe you need to grow yourself a backbone, pal. You failed to grasp the concept of shooting people as bad, Detective. We also found the defendant's pistol at the scene. Traces of gunpowder residue show that it's been fired recently. Well, Mr. Wright? As far as I can tell from the looking at this photo, there seems to be no issue with the prosecution's claim. The photo. Maybe there's something in there I can use. Yeah, like why there's no exit wound?
Yeah, I know, right?
So they're saying the defendant shot the victim in the forehead. I think there's a hole in the prosecution's argument. Clearly, Mr. Enigma
Shot something else.
Looking at this photo, another possibility occurs to me. Yes? What does the letter tell us? That the defendant had a reason he couldn't refuse? His teacher's wishes? Bingo, pal. That's why the defendant popped him one in the forehead. Oh, the defense disagrees. You see, the defendant had another choice he could make.
Objection!
What, and you can prove that with this photo? I can prove he had a choice, yes. The defendant might have fired like he was ordered. But he didn't shoot the victim's forehead. Well, let's hear what you're thinking, Mr. Wright. If he didn't shoot the victim's forehead, what did the defendant shoot?
The clown's forehead. Look.
Yeah, which looks much more like a bullet wound.
Yeah.
Take that!
The clown doll? Take a closer look, see? It's been shot in the forehead, too. There's a hole in its forehead. Yes, and a hole in the prosecution's claim.
Objection!
Ha! And I suppose you have a reason as to why he'd shoot the clown doll? He didn't just shoot the doll, he shot the doll's forehead. His forehead? Let's read the orders once more, shall we? You will shoot one shot square in the forehead. Which is exactly what he did. He shot the clown doll square in the forehead. The defense has raised an intriguing possibility. That hole in the clown's forehead. It definitely looks like it was shot. Bailiff, send someone to investigate this matter.
Objection!
I admit, I'm impressed, but I expected nothing less. Still, this doesn't mean he didn't shoot the victim.
Objection!
Perhaps he did have to shoot a forehead as ordered. But the letter says nothing about whose forehead. This was the only way he had to follow his orders without taking a life. The bullet hole in the clown's doll's forehead does demand an explanation. It might very well be a clue, yet Prosecutor Gavin is right. It alone does not prove the defendant's innocence. You cannot say for sure the defendant didn't shoot the victim. So sorry, Mr. Wright. How sad is it to see the mighty fall? How sad is it to see the novice's overconfidence? He doesn't realize just how big this little hole is going to get.
Don't get too cocky, Phoenix.
Detective Gumshoe, please take this newfound fact into account as you continue your testimony.
This is new.
I know. So what if he shot the clown? He still shot the victim, pal.
Ignore that and press on the fourth statement.
Hold it!
It's so weird hearing Sam Riegel with the old sprites.
I know.
You mean the pistol, the one in the crime scene photo? That's the one. It's a funny looking gun, so there's no mistaking it. We compared the bullet taken from the victim's skull with a bullet fired from this gun. The rifling marks on the bullet were a perfect match. So, you verified the murder weapon, in other words. You bet we did.
Press on the fifth statement.
And the pistol definitely belonged to the old man, sir. Right, so we know it was the pistol in the hospital room, but who was the murderer?
Yes.
Why are you so certain? What pile of sand has your head been stuck in all this time, pal? You never heard of Zack and Valent's quick draw shoot 'em?
Quick draw McGraw.
El Kabong!
Ba-ding.
Huh? What's that? One of the defendant's specialities. Zack and Val and Grammary stand on either side of a girl. Then they shoot. But the bullets don't hit her. Instead, they hit everything else on stage. That was one of the pistols they used in their show.
Yeah, that's safe.
Got a great design, huh? The kids love it. Well, if it's used in a stage show, wouldn't it be a blank shooter?
I guess.
Or only have blank bullets for it? Many boys and girls joined the police because of that pistol, I hear. You know, that would explain a lot about the police force, especially in the States. Troop Grammary stopped doing that act a while ago. The old man held on to that pistol ever since. The court would like to see this pistol in question. You got it, sir. Here she is. Well, this is truly as a blast from the past. It's a stage pistol for magic shows, see? But it can fire real bullets. So it can be chambered with real bullets.
Yes.
It looks so much bigger in real life than on TV. It can only hold one round. So it's a flintlock. By the way, this pistol's firing chamber is empty. And it shows traces of having been fired recently. So, were any fingerprints found on the gun? Unfortunately, no. Of course, the defendant is known for wearing gloves. We might say that a lack of fingerprints is, in fact, a fingerprint of its own. Intriguing point. Well made. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Not well made! Not intriguing! In any case, the court accepts this evidence.
At least it thought ahead to wear gloves.
Yeah. My grandchild would get a kick out of seeing this. But now's the time to return to our testimony.
Present the stage pistol and the added testament, statement number 6. So this is new.
Objection!
The trickiest cases often seem the simplest. Prosecutor Gavin, you missed the bullet hole in the clown's forehead. If you hadn't missed that, you might have come to a very different conclusion. Understand? Yeah, but like I just said, pal, after he shot the clown in the forehead, he went and...
Objection!
Did nothing of the sort to the victim. The pistol proves he could not. The murder weapon? How? It's quite simple, Your Honor. The pistol only holds one bullet at a time. If he had shot the clown in the forehead, he couldn't have shot the victim too. He could have just reloaded the gun, Phoenix.
The old objection thing.
Objection!
That's not a contradiction, not even close. All he had to do was reload the pistol after the first shot.
Objection!
Oh, where did he get that extra bullet? They're not so easy to come by, you know. If you claim the defendant had one ready, then prove to us how he got it. I had a feeling this wasn't over yet. No, this party's just getting started. And I haven't proven anything yet beyond my good looks and startling record sales. An utter lack of humility. What's this? It seems the prosecution has another witness prepared. Like I said, Herr Detective. Herr Detective was just a warm-up act. Gumshoe.
I know.
Now that the audience has gotten a taste of what's to come, they're ready. Ready for what? For my decisive witness, of course. A witness who you will find can prove one thing for us. That it was Zack Grammary who shot the victim in the forehead. Very well. We will pause for a 15-minute recess. This might be my lucky break. I'll need that 15 minutes to talk to my client, Zack. Court is adjourned.
We still going.
Yep.
It's only gonna get worse from here, ladies and gentlemen.
Very impressive, Mr. Wright. I have to say, I expected nothing less. Does this guy remind me of Thors from Vinland Saga?
He does!
He looks like Thors.
He really does! Holy shit!
I have to say, I expected nothing less. We've only just begun. I was hoping you could tell me a bit more about what happened, actually.
I did not think you would believe me if I told you. Better that you discovered the truth for yourself. I was thinking of you, you know.
I think we need less thinking and more talking. That night in the hospital, what really happened?
Ah, the way your eyes gleam, Mr. Wright. You'll scare Trucy.
Speaking of which, where is she?
You've seen the problem yourself. The letter.
The one shot in the forehead one, right?
Yes.
And the reason he speaks of.
I cannot deny my mentor's wishes, even if it meant my own death.
Why not?
This is something I will not say. For now, at least.
What's this for now business?
I've done so many things in my life. Some well, some poorly. But this is a cross we must bear alone to our graves.
We?
You wanted to know about the night of the incident?
Finally, this guy sure likes to take his time getting to the important stuff.
Of course, I had no intention of shooting my mentor. I snuck into his room that night at the appointed time.
And found there upon his bedside table 2 pistols. 2?
Yes.
The one I'd used on stage, and one that'd been used by my partner, Valent. Oh, for the Zack and Valent's quick draw thing?
My mentor had the look of one sleeping. I stood by his bedside, hearing only the light sound of his breathing. Then I took the pistol into my hand. I cannot deny my resolve faltered then, for a moment.
You faltered? You mean you thought about shooting him?
Recall there was a reason I could not refuse his request. His last such request, though not his first.
So, there were other requests you couldn't refuse before?
To be honest, I've not always been steadfast, and I fear I've brought pain upon Trucy.
Was Magnifi coercing his disciples somehow? Just what was going on in Troop Grammary?
Yet, in the end, I did not shoot him. Instead, I turned and shot the clown. I took the pistol I had fired and placed it in my pocket.
In your pocket?
I believe if you examine the bullet in the clown's head, you'll find it to be different from the one in my mentor.
What were those called? Rifling marks.
Yes, well, that is all I have to tell you concerning the case.
Concerning the case? You mean there's something else you can tell me?
You are a fascinating man, Mr. Wright.
Thanks.
Yes, there is something. My mentor. His eyes opened.
What? Magnifi Grammary?
The old devil. He was not asleep, you see. Of course, the gunshot would have woken him anyway. And there we had our last discussion as mentor and pupil. It was not a long discussion, maybe 5-10 minutes or so.
What did you talk about?
Mr. Wright, did I not just tell you? It does not concern this case.
Zack Grammary, he seems pretty steadfast to me. Or maybe just stubborn.
Column A, column B.
Mr. Wright, your presence is requested in the courtroom. Once again, I am in your hands.
Right, let's get back in there.
I realize this could have been a lot darker. Instead of shooting his master, he could have pulled the plug if he was on life support.
Court is now back in session.
During our recess, a bullet was found in and dug out from the clown's head.
Well, this is news. And the rifling marks?
There wasn't time to do a detailed analysis. Though, they did find the weapon type matches the murder weapon.
Well, that's not very conclusive, is it?
Which is why I'm about to call my very decisive witness. Your decisive witness? How many times have I heard those words? Though they often turn out to be far less decisive than you think. Oh, don't worry on my account. I'm quite confident this witness will do the job. After all, he is intimately acquainted with the players in our little production. Being the other half of Troop Grammary's famous duo, Zack and Valent. Valent Grammary. So, we get to meet the great McNiffy's other disciple. Oh, great.
Ah! Have fun.
Perhaps we'll start by asking your name and occupation. Valent Grammary, magician.
And you're the decisive witness, are you? You can prove your fellow student, your partner's guilt?
Fate, the grand illusion filled with traps and tricks. Wait, the shooting took place in that hospital after 11 o'clock at night. If you're a witness, does that mean you were there that late? If one were to deduce this logically, the conclusion is yes. Okay. I always get the characters, don't I?
Yep.
I have an interesting fact for you, you see. Several days before the crime, my witness received this.
That looks very familiar.
Wait. That's the same letters that Grammary received.
Yes.
Or perhaps I should say, ta-da!
Order! 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 And what does it say? Surely not the same thing.
Perhaps you should see for yourself.
Why, it's practically the same.
Except for one important detail.
Yep.
The court accepts this into evidence.
Thank you.
This is most unusual. Exactly what was going on with you folks? What exactly was your troop grammary up to? By which you mean, I'm just having trouble envisioning a man who would ask his students to kill him. Both of them, no less.
It's just my opinion, Herr Judge. But from these letters, I'd say he was coercing them, not asking them.
We walked into the magician's path together, and in doing shared much of our lives. When people are so close, there is strain, a warping of relations, you might say. Yet this has nothing to do with the case at hand.
By which you mean you're not going to tell us. Which makes me wonder even more about this reason they couldn't refuse.
Well, let's get on with the testimony for starters. The defendant, Zach Grammary, stands accused. Tell us why.
Oh, I'll do more than that. For where he walks, the red roses rise, singing hymns to the miracle that is magic. Fascinating. Though I hardly need to remind you that the evidence could just as clearly point to you as the suspect. The letter, the murder weapon, and now the 2 bullets found at the scene.
In fact, the only difference seems to be the designated time.
As every magician knows, timing is everything. Yes. And now it's time to get this party fired up. That night, I visited the hospital room at the time McNiffy requested. The smell of gunpowder hung in the room, and my mentor had taken his final bow. I did not imagine my fellow student might have received the same instructions. Yet a deal with the dead is still a deal. Death's sweet kiss I gave to the clown. Then I informed the doctor and the police.
So you were the one who reported the crime?
Yes, even if you didn't kill him, you still discharged a firearm in a public place.
Exactly.
Indeed. I would think the fact alone would clear my name of suspicion.
Let's not jump to any conclusions.
Yes, the cross-examination generally comes before the conclusions in this court. But if your testimony proves to be true, then the defendant, Zach Grammary, is guilty.
And if it wasn't Zach Grammary, then the killer was you, Valent. And no disappearing act will get you out of that.
Press on the 4th statement.
There were 2 bullet holes at the scene, one in the victim and one in the clown. You're saying the one who shot the clown was you? No doubt my partner Zach had said much the same thing. Yeah, because whoever didn't shoot the clown committed murder. I'd better dig around here a bit more to see what I can turn up. Mr. Valent, let me ask you about something else concerning the crime scene, namely...
The number of pistols.
How many pistols were there when you entered the room?
By which you mean what, precisely?
2 pistols were used in the Zack and Valent quick draw shoot-'em, correct? 1 for each of you.
You are well informed, yet only one of my old friends sat in the hospital room that night.
What did Zack tell me back there in the lobby?
Of course, I had no intention of shooting my mentor. I snuck into his room that night at the appointed time, and found there upon his bedside tabled 2 pistols. I took the pistol I'd fired and placed it in my pocket. I see no problem with that statement. Only 1 pistol is visible in the photograph of the crime scene, after all.
So you picked up that pistol and fired it?
Indeed I did. Alakazam. What the?
Alakazing.
Alakazing. Alakaboom. And the number of pistols really that important?
Quite important, actually.
The number of pistols is quite important, Your Honor.
Very well. Please add this detail to your testimony.
What can I do but obey?
This is new.
Only 1 pistol was in the hospital room that night. With it, I shot the clown.
Present the stage pistol.
Oops.
Oh,
Sorry, just skip this.
yeah. Yeah, go back. Yeah, present the pistol.
Objection!
Yeah, I could see Kirk Thornton voicing Valent. I think he'd fit.
I see him voicing Zack than Valent.
No, I'd say Jason Douglas or the other one who voiced Thor's in Vinland Saga would fit him.
Oh, Jason Douglas would be perfect. For Valent, I want to say David Wall, maybe? I'll think about it.
According to the defendant, Zack Gramery, when he entered the room, there were 2 pistols on that table.
2?
One of those pistols he used to shoot the clown in the forehead. Then he left with it in his pocket. Of course, this is what he would say. Unlike the hapless clown, we must assume our defendant has some brains in his head. Well, what about what Mr. Valent has told us? You see, there's something about his testimony that doesn't make sense.
What might that be? I told you I took the pistol that was there and shot the clown.
That's your story, at least. But the rifling marks tell a very different story, Mr. Valent. Recall what Prosecutor Gavin told us. We compared the bullet taken from the victim's skull with a bullet fired from this gun. The rifling marks in the bullet were a perfect match. Mr. Valent, if you fired this pistol, then you shot the victim in the forehead.
Order! 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 Well, this is all rather sudden.
Objection!
What have I done?
Prosecutor Gavin?
I owe this court an apology. Sorry. Sorry for what? You see, I was unaware that 2 of these unique pistols were crafted. The analysis of the rifling marks only proved the type of gun that fired them.
Objection!
But that's not what you told us before. You said you'd verified the murder weapon. Which is why I'm apologizing to you now. Quite sincerely, I might add. Would you hold me accountable for a mistake made in my youth? That was just this morning. I'm still young, and I might add it wasn't really my fault. If the defendant had only admitted he took 1 pistol from the scene of the crime, we would not be having this pleasant discussion right now.
Valent Gramery. Yes, Your Honor. You were presented to this court as a decisive witness, but you've proven to be more divisive than decisive.
Objection!
You'll see, in time. The testimony so far has merely been a review of the facts. The proof comes next.
Care to elaborate, Prosecutor Gavin?
When Mr. Vallon entered the hospital room, the victim had already been shot. As his next testimony will prove, Herr Wright, the real fight is about to begin. Bring it.
Very well. The witness will now testify to the court. Help us determine who shot what.
Who shot what?
I arrived in the hospital room at the appointed time, which is to say 11:20 p.m. After discovering the body, I fulfilled my obligation, then called in the doctor. The doctor examined the body before the police arrived. He was quite clear about the time of death, 11:10 p.m. And the one in the room at the time was my partner, not me.
Those times are rather close, you have to admit. You're talking about an alibi established over a matter of minutes. To use a 10-minute discrepancy as the basis of your alibi
Is easy to explain in this situation, Herr Judge. For example, take our debut hit single, 13 Years Hard Time for Love. Cue to the song, press the play button, and it will play for 2 minutes 15 seconds. Do it 100 times, the result is the same. Their debut single was only 2 minutes 15 seconds long? What a rip-off! Magic is a world of utmost precision. Hocus pocus requires admirable focus. And the time of death determined by the doctor there is an incontrovertible truth.
Very well. The prosecution warns us that we're dealing with rather precise times. And we can expect the cross-examination to require the same level of precision.
I would hope the defense refrains from customarily broad, sweeping accusations, lest we blur the focus of this case so clearly demands.
Point taken. Baseless remarks will result in a penalty. Carry on, Mr. Wright.
Carry on. Right.
Press on the fourth statement.
I don't think I'm stepping out on a limb to say I have some doubts about this. How could the doctor be so precise with the time?
We do usually get an estimated time of death, true. I'm not sure I've heard of a verified time of death.
Magic reveals in making the complex appear simple, but reality is the opposite. What appears complex in this case is a simple matter of subtraction.
I see another person has done their arithmetic homework.
The point here is the IV the victim was taking. It's quite visible in the photograph of the scene. Recall what you heard earlier about the victim, Magnifique Gramarie's schedule. Every night at 11 p.m., Magnifique took an IV drip for 30 minutes.
I can see the IV bag right there, yes.
Now, look a little closer. Follow the tube down from the bag to the end.
Ah! The needle's been removed.
Doubtlessly, it fell out when he was shot.
That would seem to be the case.
When the needle comes out, the IV no longer drips. Ah, you can just measure the remaining IV liquid. Precisely. The IV liquid functions for our purpose as an hourglass of sorts. This is how the doctor determined the time of death. From the amount remaining in the bag, it was determined that the IV had stopped 10 minutes after administration began.
Huh.
And so it was, when I, Valiant, entered the room. 10 minutes had passed since that horrible crime was committed. And this is proof. Well, Mr. Wright?
That seem important?
Very important.
Well, seeing how it is the biggest clue we have to the time of death, I'd say it's very important.
Agreed. It would be hard to imagine a more precise way to determine the time. Behold the power of arithmetic. Very well. The witness will add this detail to his testimony. Sometimes the most magical thing of all is the truth.
This is new.
The water of life springs not eternal. The remaining IV liquid proves my innocence.
Press.
Did you notice the IV yourself by any chance? When I first entered that room, the stench of gunpowder assailed me. Next, the mark of death upon my mentor's forehead. And then, his left arm did I spy a rose drooping and wilted. His thorn, the discarded IV needle. Knocked from the vein by the force of the shot, luckily for you. If that IV had not been there, why, you might be a suspect. Indubitably so. I might say it's thanks to my lucky color. Your lucky color? Indeed, even today I wear it proudly upon my suspect self. For it always, without fail, brings me luck. Why, when Zack and Valent won their first Magician Grand Prix... Yes, the very one held by the Association of International Magicians. I was adorned in this attire too then, and our trophy, a bust. Ah, what a day that was. This is one trip down memory lane no one needs. My lucky color, yes indeed, and that IV too. I say, I think 'twas hewed especially for me, Valent. That does seem to be the case indeed. Well, Mr. Wright, any thoughts on this testimony? Valent sure looks happy with himself. Okay, how about this lucky color testimony?
There's a contradiction.
It certainly sounds like your lucky colors brought you plenty of luck. But not this time. Mr. Valent, your lucky color betrayed you. I'm afraid you've lost me. Your Honor, the witness's testimony just now clearly contradicts the evidence. What? Please recall my warning at the beginning of this cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Baseless accusations will be duly penalized. I do hope this latest accusation is well-based. Don't worry, I've got all your bases right here. Very well, let's hear the defense's claim. Where in your evidence does it contradict what Mr. Valent has told us?
The crime photo.
Take that!
The crime scene tells all, Your Honor. The photo of the crime scene? All this talk of color has me yearning for black and white, clear-cut simplicity. Tell us, Herr Wright, just where is this contradiction in this photo? My pleasure, and I assure you, it's quite simple. But I can't promise anything in black and white. Let's hear what Mr. Wright has to say. What in this photo contradicts the witness's testimony?
The IV bag. Look, it's a different color.
Yeah, it's green.
Yeah.
Valent Grammary. Let's get one thing straight about your lucky color. It's yellow, yes? Kind of takes the mystery out of it, but yes. Something wrong with yellow, Mr. Wright? Yes, there is. Decisively wrong, in fact. Take another look at the photo of the crime scene.
What's this?
Confusion? Doubt? Tell us what your elderly eyes spy.
Even my elderly eyes can see a problem here, Mr. Valent. Look at that IV bag. What is this? What?
Foul mag. It would be hard to call the IV liquid yellow. And I'm afraid no magic was involved in the making of this photograph. Taking, rather.
Alakaz...
Alakaz, no!
The bunnies and the birds.
Order! 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 What does this mean?
Objection!
This is some kind of mistake.
Yes, Prosecutor Gavin. Your witness's mistake.
Ugh. The greener they are, the harder they fall. I suppose there's no substitute for experience. Nope. Valent Grammary. As you reminded us several times, your lucky color is yellow, but the IV is clearly not.
Well,
This contradiction can mean only one thing.
Objection!
And to think, you almost had me. I see your true colors now, Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright.
roll credits.
Yep.
Something you'd like to tell us, Prosecutor Gavin? As far as this court can tell, the witness's testimony does not contradict the evidence. Does contradict the evidence, excuse me.
Yes, a contradiction. One that I shall be pleased to hand right back to Mr. Wright. How do you mean? How? Because the witness has made no mistakes. I agree, at a glance, the IV liquid does appear sort of greenish yellow. No, that's green.
No, that is clearly green.
That's as green as Valkyr. But I assure you, the liquid itself is quite yellow.
Yellow liquid? How can you say that? As far as I can tell from this photo, it's green.
Yes, but the color of the IV bag itself? The bag? You mean the plastic bag on the hook?
It looks like I want to say light blue.
Since when are IV bags light blue? They're always clear.
No, yeah, they've always been clear.
Precisely. Figured it out yet? Put a yellow liquid in blue bag and... you get green. Yes, I know my primary and secondary colors, Clavier.
Yes.
This, incidentally, is the liquid's true color.
I see. Your explanation does have a ring of truth to it.
Objection!
As I thought. There's no substitute for experience, Prosecutor Gavin. What? You may tell a good tale, but you've just proven something rather grave. For you, that is.
Grave?
The liquid in the IV bag is yellow, yes. But how did the witness know that? It's quite unnatural when you think about it. You did think about it, didn't you? Your Honor, the defense requests an explanation from the witness. At the scene of the crime, the IV liquid appears to be green. So let me ask, how did the witness know the IV liquid was actually yellow? Alakazam!
Alakazam, my god!
Alakazam, my god!
Alakazam, my god!
Yeah, that Chaozu, oh my god!
Order! Order! Order!
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Wright, you will explain this at once. The witness clearly knew the color of the IV liquid. So I'm sure it means something, but what?
I can think of only one possibility, Your Honor. The witness, Valiant Grammary, has testified that the IV bag was yellow because...
He knew the IV liquid's color.
From the facts before us, the answer is clear. The witness knew that the IV liquid was yellow. Why? Because he'd seen it before. But not inside the blue bag we see in this photo. He saw the liquid by itself in a clear, colorless bag.
I suppose he would have to, but still, but I'm still not clear as to what all this means.
Ask yourself, why would he know if he didn't work at a hospital? That's where you'll find your meaning, Your Honor.
Objection!
I'm afraid I find nothing. So what if he knew the IV liquid's color? Leave the getting excited over absolutely nothing to our teeny bopper fans, yeah?
Objection!
Aren't IV liquids colors usually clear?
It depends on which IV. The IV.
Okay.
The IV liquid is the only evidence proving the time of death. A 30-minute hourglass with 20 minutes worth of sand remaining. Your claim, Prosecutor Gavin.
I remember it well.
However, there's a critical difference between an hourglass and an IV bag.
Wait, I know! An hourglass uses sand, but an IV bag uses liquid. I'm right, right?
As much as it pains me to say this, Your Honor, no. Unlike the sands through an hourglass, IV liquid enters the patient's body. At which point, like magic, it disappears. However, what if the amount of IV liquid had increased? You couldn't tell, could you? After all, there's no way of knowing how much went in.
Objection!
Let me get this straight here, right? You're saying the witness watered down the victim's IV bag? Not with water, but with IV liquid. That's how you knew the IV liquid was yellow.
Now, wait! I said wait! How might an amateur such as myself essay to perform such a task?
Objection!
I'm an amateur too, but I can pour water into a cup.
Objection!
I'm afraid there's quite a big difference between a cup and an IV bag. Quite.
Can you prove our witness is capable of such a feat? He has a point, amateurs. I, at least, would have some difficulty pouring IV liquid into that bag.
You don't need to be an expert to see the look on the witness's face. He added liquid to that IV bag to throw off the time of death. I tire of these fairy tales lacking evidence.
Well, Mr. Wright, any solid evidence to bring us back down to earth?
Valiant Grammary, I'm afraid your magic won't serve you well in a life of crime.
Might I ask what you're strongly suggesting?
Magic relies on props, and props become evidence. Our witness was clearly able to increase the amount of IV liquid in the bag. All he had to do was work a little magic, and the prop was...
The small syringe.
Take that!
The victim's syringe.
It's the perfect prop for the magically increasing IV trick. And easy enough for an amateur to use.
Objection!
What kind of evidence is that? The syringe was clean, not a trace of liquid in it.
Objection!
And don't you find that odd, Prosecutor Gavin? What? The victim had the syringe to administer his insulin shots. There should have been traces of insulin left inside. Well, Valiant Grammary, as you pointed out yourself, the IV liquid makes the perfect clock. One that you could manipulate at will.
Bunnies!
Oh dear.
This is ugly.
Just a bit.
I do believe, well, with the time being, with this being his first, that the burden of this trial has been a bit too much to bear for Prosecutor Gavin. I'm afraid that while there is a doubt as to the amount of IV liquid in that bag, the time of death cannot be proven. And that brings our trial to a close for today.
Well, maybe I can squeeze an extra day out of this. Do a little much-needed investigation work.
I see there are no...
Objection!
For fuck's sake, let me finish!
What now?
Truly, there's no substitute for experience. Nothing blinds one to the truth so effectively. A word to the wise. Underestimate the young and they'll sweep your feet out from under you. In a way you'd never, ever expected. You see, I know exactly what you're thinking. What's he talking about? You see, the witness used the syringe to manipulate the level of the IV liquid. Oh, you say the witness used the syringe to manipulate the level of IV liquid. But there's no proof. There's no proof he didn't do it either. Yes, quite true. He's admitting it? Nor was the witness quite as decisive as I'd hoped. This, I admit, after all, why linger in the past when the future holds so much?
You have something in mind, Prosecutor Gavin?
Proof, Herr Judge. I have another way to prove my case. With evidence, no less.
What's this?
This is the victim, Magnifi Grammary's diary.
Diary?
After going into the hospital, Magnifi began writing his memoirs, it seems. The story of his birth, his startling debut, and of meeting his disciples. It seems he intended for the last chapter to end quite appropriately with his death. Wait, that book doesn't say what the reason was, does it? The reason why his disciples couldn't refuse his last request? Sadly, it does not. What's important here is on the last page. Apparently, the victim wrote in his journal that night, even after the IV had begun at 11 p.m. Let's read it, shall we?
Okay.
This does appear to have been written just before his death.
There's a page torn off.
The court accepts this into evidence.
You guys saw that, right? A page was torn off.
Yep. Read the very last part with particular care. This journal may end here, or it may go on, but not long. That depends on his hand. Of course, by his, he refers to our defendant, Zach Grammary.
That would make sense, yes. He was the first scheduled visitor, after all.
But look at what he said before that. This journal may end here, or it may go on. It may go on. Magnifi Grammary intended to write again. That is, if Zach Grammary didn't pull the trigger. I see the defense understands the meaning of this. The victim's diary does not go on, it ends. Because Magnifi's life was brought to an end by the defendant, Zach Grammary. There's a page missing.
Order!
Yeah, exactly.
Order! Prosecutor Gavin, are you certain that Magnifi Grammary wrote this?
There's no mistaking his handwriting.
Well, this does seem to be significant. According to this, Magnifi did intend to continue his diary. Yet, if the diary ended here, which plainly it did,
Then the one who pulled the trigger was our first visitor, Zach Grammary. Well, how do you like me now, Herr Wright? Still too green for your tastes,
Man, Clavier's a dick 7 years ago.
Well, he is only like 17, so give him a break.
Even so.
He's right about the diary being pretty clear. Still, I find it hard to believe that he overlooks such an obvious problem with his precious evidence.
well, Mr. Wright, the witness's testimony we heard was lacking. But put together with this evidence, it seems quite sufficient for a case.
If the diary is accepted like this, the trial's over. Maybe it's time for me to show them something.
Hold on. Yes, show evidence.
I'm left with no choice but to show my own evidence.
What? You have some evidence that overturns this diary?
It's not too late to rethink this and avoid more embarrassment.
Very well. Please show us your evidence, Mr. Wright.
Incidentally, don't even think of showing us the diary I've just shown the court. Now that we've come this far, I hope you have something a little more decisive. Show us evidence that proves the victim continued writing his diary. Alright, I'll be happy to. The decisive evidence proving that the diary didn't end with this page is...
This is gonna hurt when I do this, the notebook page.
Take that!
This is gonna hurt!
First, take a close look at this diary. Note that a page has clearly been ripped out.
What's this? I hadn't noticed that at all.
That's why we're still here talking about this. As it just so happens, I have here what I believe to be a missing page. The missing page.
Alec, I don't believe it!
Looking at this page, it's hard to imagine that the first visitor that night shot Magnifi Grammary. That's the defense's position.
Oh, wait, let me see that. What in Sam Hill? Why, this is a continuation of the victim's diary.
Clavier seems confident.
Note the torn edge of the page. It's a perfect match with the torn remains of the last page in Magnifi's diary.
Quite remarkable.
Would you care to explain what all this means, Herr Attorney? The diary continued after his first visitor came, which means that the victim was still alive after Zach Grammary left, leaving no one to take his life but the second visitor. Valent Grammary. No. No.
The handwriting, too, matches that on the other pages. This is, without a doubt, the genuine article. Order! 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 But wait! That's impossible! That old man couldn't have written that!
Objection!
Finally. You just couldn't resist, could you, Herr Wright? Resist what? Presenting solid evidence? Herr Judge?
Yes, Prosecutor Gavin?
Might I request we put the current cross-examination on hold? The prosecution would like to call a new witness.
But Prosecutor Gavin, this evidence overturns the current witnesses.
I ask only to put it on hold. Please, my new witness has a very, very important piece of testimony to give. 5 minutes, no more. I promise, Your Honor.
Well, if you put it that way, Mr. Wright, what's your take on this?
Well, Your Honor, judging from his enthusiasm, we'll have to hear this new testimony sooner or later anyway, so it might as well be sooner.
Then, though this is highly, highly irregular, we will put the current cross-examination on hold. The witness may step down. Now, Prosecutor Gavin, please bring this surprise witness to the courtroom.
I had a bad feeling just then. That ripped-out page was too obvious. He must have known. And I should have known it was a bad sign all around. Ah.
Yep.
Holding trial with no audience is a first, even for me, Prosecutor Gavin.
I beg the court's understanding. But I had to make a judiciary deal with the witness to secure his testimony. A judiciary deal? The deal of his testimony may have some legal ramifications, shall we say. I thought it best to contain the information to this room.
Very well. And you're the witness, I gather? Ah, yes, sir.
State your name and occupation for the record.
My name's Drew Misham. I'm a painter.
Misham.
A painter? And you are somehow related to this case? No, well, not per se.
I have one simple question for this witness. Mr. Misham, was it? Do you know what this is?
Oh, yeah, I know it well.
How's that possible? Have you seen this diary page somewhere before?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I made it.
You... what? You made it?
Yes, you might call it one of my works.
The prosecutor's office received a tip-off yesterday. Illegal evidence has been prepared for the trial of Zach Gramery.
Legal evidence?
I initiated an investigation and found this witness. A painter to the world at large, Drew Misham has another side, you might say. He is skilled in making perfect reproductions of certain things. Forgeries, in other words. Forgeries?
Well, so we are to understand that this page here is...
a fake. Prepared by a certain defense attorney.
Objection!
Hold it! I didn't prepare this evidence!
Objection!
Ah, the attorney speaks. Something about this page, I presume. But what is he saying? It makes no sense. After all, it was you who presented this evidence to us, Phoenix, right?
Witness, Mr. Misham, was it? Who requested this forgery? Who was your client? That, I don't know.
What?
Most of my clients prefer to remain anonymous, even to me. I make the items they want and receive my payment. That's the extent of my contact with them.
Objection!
But there's no proof that this is a fake.
It's a fake.
Huh?
To avoid just this sort of problem, I always put a special mark on my works. I can say without a doubt, this is mine. Mr. Wright, you have just presented illegal evidence to this court. My court.
Fuck.
It was careless of me. That's all I can say.
Oh, old boy. Here.
What's this?
I don't know. I just got over there in the hall. They told me to give it to the old boy in the blue suit with the spiky hair. They said it was really important.
It was all a trap.
A fatal trap. Mr. Wright,
Yes,
do you have an explanation for yourself?
if I did, would the court hear it?
Probably not. Forging evidence is a serious crime, and presenting it in court, a serious mistake. A fatal mistake for an attorney.
Fatal too, perhaps, for your client, I fear. Tell me, what kind of defendant relies on forged evidence? The answer is quite clear. A guilty one.
Objection!
Your Honor, wait! I understand that presenting forged evidence in court is a serious crime, but you cannot hold my client responsible for actions I undertook as an individual.
I am sorry, Mr. Wright.
Your Honor? Another close call, I dare say. If the prosecutor's office hadn't received that hot tip, everything would have gone the way you wanted it to, yeah? I even gave you a chance. Too bad you decided not to think before embarrassing yourself.
I see no need for further discussion on this matter. Special witness dismissed. Mr. Attorney,
Yes,
could I ask your name?
Phoenix Wright.
Mr. Wright, I have seen and studied many people, but none like you. I'll remember you, Mr. Wright. Though I deeply regret having to declare a verdict in this way, this trial is over. You have the right to find a new attorney and make an appeal. However, this court must... Your Honor? Yes, Mr. Zek?
There's one thing I wish to make clear.
Today, in this courtroom, you cannot declare me guilty. It is impossible. I'm afraid the defendant is quite mistaken. I most certainly have the authority to declare a verdict on you. Except, tell me, how do you plan on announcing your verdict when your defendant does not exist? Doesn't exist? What are you talking about?
I am talking
About this!
Disappearing act.
Mr. Enigma? The defendant escaped! Find him! Quick!
Bailiff, close all exits from the building! On the double! He must not be allowed to escape!
That day in that courtroom, a miracle occurred. The defendant, Shadi Enigma, aka Zach Gramery, did not just escape from the court. He literally, unbelievably, vanished. Right before the bailiff's eyes. No one ever saw him again, not since that day. This is the Gramery miracle.
This is the Gramery miracle.
No verdict was declared. After all, the defendant didn't exist. That's how it happened. The trial of magician Zach Gramery vanished, along with him for all eternity. The mysteries that remained behind were all solved, however. But not until 7 years later.
Fuck.
And that's how Phoenix lost his job.
Yep. Damn. This was so hard to watch.
It was.
Just like, oh god, that was painful.
But we're not finished with Apollo Justice yet. Because like what was said there, the mysteries are going to get solved by Apollo.
Yeah. So next time we'll be following Phoenix's. We're still gonna follow Phoenix's story, and we see he's got some plans under his sleeves.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah, you know the whole Mason. You know how he explained the Mason system, the juror system, before the beginning of this case. Yeah, we're gonna see what he means by that next time.
Yep, pretty much.
Yep.
Okay. Anything to say before we head off?
Nope, I'm good.
Alright, folks, thanks for tuning in, and be sure to tune in next week for more GTA San Andreas. See you then.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.